Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we got two articles to go over. Both of them are on the post-millennial. One is on the cowardly scumbag Lindsey Graham, as you can see here, and the other is on a detainee from the events that happened on January 6th. I'm trying my best to be calm with this first one that we're going over because there's nothing worse than this cowardly scumbag that you see on the screen right now. Lindsey Graham told police to use their guns during January 6th Capitol storming. Love the wording on that. Congratulations on that wording. Of course, you did get it from the Washington Post. What are you doing? Take back the Senate. You've got guns. Use them, said Graham to the police. The senator was deeply irritated that the session had to be abandoned. We give you guns for a reason, said Graham. Use them. Graham's office later confirmed that this was true. Graham was quite clear on this point, noting that the backpacks and other items brought into the Capitol could have contained things that go boom. The damage could have been much, much worse, said his spokesperson. Here's an idea. If you have the testicles to make a statement like, you've got talking about that they have that we give you guns, use for a reason, use them. If you got the testicles to come up and say that, then you should have the testicles to come out and say that you meant every bit of it, that it was accurate. Own up to your actions, you worthless piece of scum. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time. This issue is just something that it's very irritating to see this type of spinelessness. I know it's out there, but good Lord, it was on full display. Here, then you have Graham was quite clear with his argument that guns should have been used. Graham said that warning shots and then lethal force should have been used once they penetrated the seat of government. You know, it's kind of funny that while you were complaining about the people showing up there, which I'm not saying they were in the right for coming into the Capitol, they were not. Okay, entering the Capitol building, no. They could be all along the street side of it, perfectly legal, that's fine. The moment they entered, they had committed a crime, yes. That being said, this scumbag did not seem to care not one bit as people's lives were destroyed, people were murdered, businesses and other places were burned down last year. People were terrorized in the streets and beaten senseless. You had everything from regular beatings to those types of assaults that I cannot mention because it is YouTube, and I intend to try to make videos in the future. Let's just say I'm disgusted by them. And the worst part is the DAs in a lot of these cities, no charges were filed on the people that did. They just let them go. And quite frankly, this guy, Graham, did not care, not at all, until something came to his front door. Until then, the rest of us peasants in the world, we could have just burned, and he didn't care. As long as he gets to line his pockets with money, that's all that matters to him. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit too agitated with this slimy little weasel. A person that did a better video on this is John Paul Revere over at the Ancient Order of Men. Please check out the Ancient Order of Men. They released a video just a little bit ago, and it was particularly on this coward, and it's very thorough and much more calm than me. Before I get much more upset, because this is like my 12th take, I'm going to switch over to the other one. We have letter reportedly from January 6th detainee details horrible conditions of imprisonment for defendants. Now, Libby Emmons, I Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I really should look over that one right now more. Is the one that's having this, and as much as I'd like to read off the whole article to you on this, I'm going to get. I gotta whittle this down, otherwise this will be an hour long. And you have how this letter got out was thanks to Grave reached out to me and asked me if I would get the story out there. Said Cara, I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce the name, who obtained the letter and reported on it. For the Gateway Pundit, she said that she researched his case and that there's no proof of any of these counts. In fact, video of the day in question, this is talking about the charges that have been put on him. Right now you have, this is a person, this is the person trying to help him, founded the not-for-profit Citizens Against Political Persecution to bring attention to those arrested in connection with charges from January 6th who were still detained pending trial. The Grave was arrested on January 28th, indicted on February 5th, and has pled. They always put pleaded, it's pled. Not guilty to all counts. He has been detained since his arrest. Mind you, you have arrested on January 28th. And he's been detained this long. He's still in there. To date, nearly 700 people have been arrested in connection with the Capitol riot of January 6th. The Department of Justice details their charges. Now, you have, I guess it's important to go on this. The Grave is charged with assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers, civil disorder, obstruction of an official proceeding, entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, impeding passage through the Capitol grounds or building, act of violence in the Capitol grounds or building, act of physical violence in the Capitol grounds or building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing. Now, some of these raise questions. Now, right here, you have where it says assaulting, resisting, or impeding. Okay, that's saying it could be one of the three, and particularly the last one, you have impeding. Impeding is you could be 10 feet away from the door that the officer is looking at, and they could say that, and you're not even directly blocking them, but they could say you're impeding their path to the door. Okay? It is a scummy way to just keep adding charges, but they want to make sure to keep putting assaulting in every chance they get. So they get the maximum amount out of it. I mean, if you look at it, you have 6 counts on it. Of assaulting, impeding an officer. They are 6 different counts. When you read the counts, it looks like he attacked a police officer, and impeding a police officer literally could mean you were standing in front of the door with a group of people when there was a police officer nearby. I mean, it's very loosely what they're doing on this, just so they'd have a reason to get them. But we're going to go to the letter from the Grave was forwarded to, sorry, I cannot pronounce that name, from his attorney's office at his request. Now, his attorney sent this letter, released this letter out. So you have, Dear fellow Americans, I never thought I'd write a letter like this, but we're living in very different times. This is my cry for help. My name is Nathan the Grave, and as a nonviolent participant at the January 6th rally, I've spent the last 9 months detained as a political prisoner in Pod C2B at the DC DOC, otherwise known as DC's Gitmo. The conditions here for January 6th is have been inhumane. In fact, some inmates are even begging to be transferred to Guantanamo Bay, where even they have more acceptable standards. Class action lawsuits are being filed against this prison, and even the ACLU has gotten involved. Senator Matt Gaetz, let me pronounce that right, and Marjorie Taylor Greene have since attempted to gain access to this facility and inspect the conditions of the jail, only to be denied. The vile filth of what has become our daily life is being illegally hidden from the members of our own Congress. So let me tell you about what me and many of the other January 6ers have been experiencing in DC's Gitmo. It's my hope that with media exposure and the awareness of the American public that something may be done, and this never happens to anyone ever again. Our conditions. For the first 120 days in DC's Gitmo, January 6ers experienced daily lockdowns for 23 to 24 hours before being allowed to leave our small 120 square foot cell. The physical and mental anguish that results from this kind of severe isolation has caused many people to go on a rapid mental decline. As a result, a large percentage of us are heavily medicated with anti-anxiety and antidepressant drugs, which helps to cope with the psychological and mental abuse we endure. Many times, the little rec we do receive is stripped away if your cell isn't up to the standards of the guard on duty. This changes from day to day. January 6ers have lost rec time and out of cell activity anytime. News interviews about the jail are aired on TV. People speak up about our conditions, or rallies are held in our name. We'll probably have a lockdown upon the publishing of this letter, so I have already warned those I know in advance. Masks are weaponized and used against us, even though we never leave the facility. Officers have walked in with the sole intention of needing to write 20 to 30 disciplinary reports against January 6ers, which adversely affects our chances of release and causes loss of privileges, phone time, and commissary. Masks are needed to be covering both nose and mouth at all times, or we are threatened and locked down in our cells. January 6ers are also respectful of the employees around us, but COs maintain the need to invent reasons for discipline. Privileged legal documents have been confiscated and gone missing from various cells, and highly sensitive discovery video evidence under the attorney-client privilege is watched by employees during our legal calls. Jordan Mink, for example, had all discovery taken by ERT officers on August 23rd, despite the objection of his attorney. They handcuffed him, searched his room, and then proceeded to take all video evidence in his possession. Additionally, legal visits take 2 to 3 weeks or more to be scheduled, leaving little time to discuss our defense and prepare for trial. The extreme medical neglect in this facility has also caused a variety of adverse illnesses and disease. Some show signs of scurvy, and some even have cough-like symptoms, but medical personnel have refused to treat it. Christopher Worrell, for example, is an inmate with cancer who also broke his hand in prison and requires surgery. Both have been completely ignored. Federal Judge Royce Lamberth got to the point where on October 12th, he filed contempt of court charges against the warden of the DC DOC, claiming that Worrell's civil rights have been violated and demanding the U.S. Attorney General inquire further about his and other possible violations. Yeah, like anything's going to happen with the current Attorney General, other than, oh, let's give him a harder time. He already calls parents that go to school board meetings domestic terrors. Another inmate, Peter Steger, waited 4 months to receive his CPAP breathing machine and has needed an MRI since spring, which has also been ignored by staff. The harsh, unlivable conditions in our unit caused health hazards that defy Department of Health regulations, and on at least 5 occasions, raw sewage has overflowed our unit, causing human fecal matter to flood the floors and rooms. That's also in addition to the mold on cell walls, as well as the rusty pipes and dirty water that flows from these sinks. White rags turn brown when exposed to the water from our faucets. We are undergoing severe nutritional deficiencies and starvation. For breakfast this morning, I received a tray of flavorless paste, 2 slices of bread, and a slice of bologna. Lunches usually consist of rice and beans, but we'll get cold chicken/beef patties if we are lucky. For dinner, we are sometimes fed a diet of cheese sandwiches and bologna and cheese 4 to 5 times per week. Without commissary, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, people like myself are forced to starve. I suffer from headaches and nausea on an almost regular basis from the malnutrition and constant hunger I'm subjected to. I have lost almost 15 pounds since I was detained. Our rights to personal hygiene are also totally neglected. Razors are prohibited, and inmates are forced to either go unshaved and grow long beards or use a razor-free cream that burns and irritates the skin. But many other jails have allowed the use of razors without incident. Haircuts are also prohibited from unpoked inmates. For me, it's been nearly 9 months. I look virtually unrecognizable in the condition I'm in. I fear even my family would not recognize me. Contact with the outside world, from legal visits to seeing loved ones, is highly restricted. After in-person visits, legal or otherwise, we are forced to undergo humiliating strip searches. Despite all visitors being thoroughly checked for contraband, if it's a legal visit, we are placed in a 14-day quarantine with no out-of-cell time, even if your attorney is poked and tests negative for the coof. Visits with friends or family members for unpoked inmates are never allowed. As a result, many people have skipped critical meetings with their counsel and never get an opportunity to see friends or family. Video visitation, while available to the rest of the jail, is restricted in the Jan 6 pod. Mail is delayed for months, and phone calls are limited to a maximum of pre-approved 12 numbers. If there's anyone else in our extended family or otherwise we'd like to call, we're pretty much out of luck. Religious services protected by the First Amendment are not provided to Jan 6ers. Neither are in-person classes or other activities available to the rest of the jail. An inmate named Ryan Samsel instead attempted to organize his own Bible study inside the pod until he was viciously beaten and left for dead by correctional officers. He suffered a broken eye socket and brain damage as a result of the vicious attack. He's now permanently blind in one eye. On another occasion, Scott Fairlamb was confronted by an officer in the middle of the night, and his life was threatened once the officer's body cam was disabled. Many, like myself, are afraid they could be the next victim. And last but not least, we experience ism from many guards on a daily basis. Being the only white Republicans in the entire jail, the false narrative has been passed around the jail to corrections officers that we are, really bad guys. We'll put it that way. We're not. The inmate population is predominantly black, so we are at risk of being here because we are at risk of being here because of this false narrative. The guards are mostly liberal migrants from Africa who have been conditioned to hate us and hate America. Jan 6ers have been mocked, beaten, and ridiculed by guards for singing the national anthem. The corrections officers despise our politics and the love we have for this country. At one point, an officer even yelled, "F America," and threatened to lock us down for a week if we attempted to sing the national anthem again. The truth about my story. Finally, I feel I should touch briefly on the government and prosecutors' portrayal of who I am as a person. No, I am not a Terry extremist or any of the other names I've been called by the government. More than anything, I am a red-blooded patriot, and I love this country more than anything. I am being unfairly prosecuted and definitely overcharged. I never assaulted anyone, destroyed property, or stolen anything. I walked through wide open doors, there's video where there was people, the police at the Capitol just opened the doors at one point. You could see them right there with them open. Wide open doors to enter the Capitol, along with my camera crew, hoping to get the rally on video. I was never even armed at any point inside the Capitol. Our goal was to make a documentary and get likes and shares on social media. Yes, I wore a costume that the prosecutor refers to as paramilitary gear and body armor, but it was for the movie and nothing of the sort. And yet, 9 months later, here I sit, with 10 years worth of charges and no hope for a future. The surveillance footage shows absolutely no sign of assault, and despite attempts by media companies to get it released to the public, the government has denied it. I think that's because they are fully aware that this footage is questionable at worst and exonerates me at best. Please don't be fooled by the media. I am a loving and peaceful person with no history of violence. This weaponized DOJ and their blatant resentment of my respect for President Donald Trump is putting me in a situation that makes me feel helpless in my current situation. How can you help? Despite me and other Jan 6ers experiencing these unthinkable conditions, all of us remain positive and hopeful that in the end, justice will prevail. We maintain a love for this country and the Constitution like no other. The only thing keeping us going is our undying patriotism, the camaraderie between one another, and our faith in God. Please share this letter with everyone you know. Friends and family, senators, representatives, political organizers, civil rights groups, and media outlets. The truth has to get out, and the jail must pay for what they are doing to this country's citizens. As a result of this unlawful detainment, the last 9 months, I have lost everything. The successful business I spent 13 years of my life working on, my apartments in Las Vegas, social media accounts with a lifetime of memories, you name it. The government has essentially canceled me. Not only that, but following the arrest, my best friend of 12 years robbed my apartment, stole my cat, and hacked my personal Instagram with 100,000 plus followers. Since then, I often go between feelings of hopelessness and moments of depression. I wonder if I can ever recover from this, but I have to remind myself to never give up. There are major medical complications I now struggle with as a result of the jealous neglect of my health since being in here. If there is any way I hope to recover, my only hope are the ones who are reading this. I was on top of the world once upon a time, and that life seems now only like a distant memory. If there's anything you can do to help, I would appreciate anything at all. Inmates are being extorted with lack of nutrition, forcing me to spend most of what's left on commissary, which I can no longer afford. I need desperate help with my legal expenses and just help staying alive in here with commissary and all the expenses I still have on the outside as my livelihood, and life has been stripped away from me. Thank you for any any help, any help you can afford. Is I'm sure what he's saying there. Even if it is a few dollars, it goes a long way. But was going in there wrong? Going into their capital wrong? Yes. But I've been hearing about this, the treatment of these inmates, and not just him, the detainees. I've been, not just him, a lot of them for months. I watched the case where that judge had held them in contempt. I saw had held the prison contempt. This is just insane, and the worst part is, like a person, is people like this cowardly little scumbag, Lindsey Graham, is supporting it. He's all for any horrible treatment that these people would get. He's all for just whatever helps him maintain what little delusionary power he has, and mostly the influx of money. And he doesn't care how many horrors the people that go in there, that go into this system and they've been put into this suffer. And like I said earlier, the Ancient Order of Men has a really good video on this scumbag right here. And I really didn't want to do a video this type of tone, but quite frankly, this is something that I feel needs to be out there. I felt that letter from the detainee needs to be out there. The letter from Nathan to Grave. Now, it's something that needs to be spread as much as possible. I hope plenty of people do. I'm sorry it took me a while. This was a long video. If you stay this long, I really appreciate your time. I really thank you for listening this long. I just thank you for clicking on the video. I will try to have something more upbeat in the next video, if at all possible. I really didn't want to go over this, but I thank you very much for listening. I thank you all very much for your time. If you think I earned it, please leave a like. And if you feel I've earned a little further, please subscribe. I am going to try to get more regular videos up. Like I said, the next video I'm going to try to have more upbeat. I don't like going over topics quite this dark. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a pleasant evening, day, or whatever it is for you. And I will see you I'll talk to you in the next video.